Inside, Pizarro Golazo. Pizarro Golazo. Here's the goal scorer, Morgan. And he's done it again. Lewis Morgan with a second of the match. Higuaín will have the goal. And he's framed the top 90. It's a sensational first goal for Gonzalo Higuaín.
I will go ahead and state for the record, it is much more enjoyable setting up the equipment here when we know we're going to be talking about a dub and not a L, I got to say.
Yeah, and I don't think you're talking about the extra hand I gave you today there, bud. But I got to say, this win came a lot faster than last year.
It certainly did. We did not have to wait till our sixth game. We're going to get into this. I mean, great time. We have Than Harrington joining us, who was actually had the privilege of going to the game. So he's going to tell us about his experiences. But first off, I guess let's go ahead and Than, how you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm good, guys. How are you guys doing? I mean, big win. Can't complain, you know.
We're holding up well for a Monday, I think.
Couple drinks in our bellies. There's really nothing to complain about right now, man.
Yeah. Finished a whole week of solo dadding. So, you know, we're out here.
You are the dad of the year.
We're out here having a good time.
Recognizes this man. And, you know, just Jay, I just want to go ahead and say congratulations, bud, because that was a hell of a week you did.
Thank you. It was. We made it. It was scary. It was scarier looking than it actually was. But yeah, no, very, very happy to have Chloe back and be able to have a partner in corralling this little crazy man. But enough about my family and myself. Welcome everyone to the Inner Miami podcast. We are coming to you very joyful. We have smiles all around. We are happy. And the reason we're happy is because we are on the right side of the table as far as the Eastern Conference goes. And there has not really been a lot of news, honestly. So we really just wanted to bring what we are so excited to talk about, which is, of course, the win over the last season's Supporters Shield winners, which in my eyes is harder to win than actually winning a title. But we were able to go out there, redeem ourselves from last year. There's quite a bit of redemption in this game, but overall, great feelings. In this show, we're going to cover that 2-1 comeback win against the Union, and we're going to look ahead to Nashville that we'll be playing on Sunday this week. But before we get ahead of ourselves, Alex, break down the beautiful night that was Saturday night.
Well, shoot, I think I got to pass the microphone over to Than Harrington, who was at the game himself. I mean, before I get into my analysis, Dan, talk to us a little bit about the environment. There's different supporters groups who was out there. Like, talk to us about the game, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a beautiful night out in Philly, technically Chester area, right outside New Jersey, Commodore Barry Bridge. It was nice to see fans back in the stands. It was obviously not a full house. We got to experience the somewhat dampened Sons of Ben section that Philly is known for. Their supporters group came out. They were jamming away. As soon as we pulled in the parking lot, we could hear the drums going and the fans chanting. So it was a good time from the get-go. You know, I ran into some of the guys from the Siege and Vice City. So shout out to those boys for making a trip up. I know it was not a easy trip for some of them. You know, and the fans were definitely there for a good time, and I'm glad we didn't give it to them. They were out there sporting their Supporters Shields T-shirts. They were out there. I mean, actually, the Supporters Shield was there to take pictures with. Yeah, it was a good night overall. Just you know, sit down and watch a good old game of football. Just glad we came out on the other end of it.
I don't want to say this. I mean, actually, you know what? It just doesn't get said enough. Big shout out to all the supporters who travel to these games. That's what football is about. And you guys are doing everything that we want to go do. So when we see the social media flying around.
How dare you commandeer my soundboard duties?
Yeah,
Oh, goodness. We're going to start a soundboard war here.
Don't you
wait, hold on. I got to add something to it. Oh, I didn't get the soundboard rights yet. That's right. My bad.
Hey, Than, secret life hack. You don't need any rights, dude. Just go ahead and download one. Just pop in the game.
Let me just go down and get the baby real quick, and that'll be my sound.
No, but as Than was saying, man, this was a hell of a game. Got a lot of conversations up and down social media throughout the match, and actually, I think this is a great time to go ahead and introduce a new initiative of the Inter Miami podcast, and that is our Discord channel. You can go ahead and catch us on Discord, and honestly, I'm going to pass the microphone to Jay because he's a little bit more knowledgeable about this world. Jay, what is Discord?
This is so nice because you sit over here like the pompous tech IT guy all the time. So to find the one little application that I know more of than you is truly enjoyable. Put your pants
back on and let's get to what Discord is, sir.
But yes, Discord, it's like a massive real-time chat platform. I believe it honestly was started in the video game industry for computer nerds to be able to talk during matches. But it has the audio feature which we're looking for, which we did with Clubhouse, which we actually enjoyed a significant amount of. And so we will be able to do what we're looking for is eventually get into a halftime audio chat and post game and probably pregame as well as far as audio chats go to. But in general, it's just a chat tool. So you download Discord. It's pretty user friendly. We have all these different channels. We have Inter Miami. We have Fort Lauderdale CF. We have just MLS in general. We have fan meetups for away games, fan meetups for home games. We have FIFA tournament banter. So different channels to talk to. Kicked it off right before the game. Had a handful of people jump in there, and we were just kind of chatting throughout the game. So really cool tool to voice your opinions. Just talk to the community, to La Familia, to connect to each other in real time. There's no delay. It's just like AIM. I guess that might date me a little bit. Maybe Slack or
AOL instant messaging
or Teams. I think it's like I don't even know if they know what AOL is anymore. But yeah, really cool. Check it out. We were sharing that on our social media. I shared it in the fan group. If you missed it or don't have it, just DM us, reach out to us in any capacity, and we'll get you that link.
Super easy. I think that's what we call a silent launch there, but we are silent no more. We have a Discord. Jay just went ahead and give you all the info. DM us on any social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Inter Miami Podcast, or on Twitter, Inter MIA Podcast. Go ahead and hit us up. Ask for the DM. We'll send it over. Download Discord and join the fun and the community. But that brings us back to the game, to the big game against the Philadelphia Union. And fellas, I got to ask, I mean, it seemed a lot of similarities to the match against the LA Galaxy, where it really seemed like a tale of two halves. We looked absolutely outstanding in the first half. Honestly, probably some of the best football we may have ever played as an organization. But then when we hit that second half and we got a little bit of break time, to give our legs a little bit of rest, it took a little bit of time to get our motor and our energy and our enthusiasm back to the level of what we were playing with in the first half. And, honestly, if it wasn't for the super sub himself, Federico Higuaín, I don't know if we're sitting at a 1-1 record right now. So, outside of that, what were your guys' thoughts on kind of both halves, looking at them at comparison?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We came out strong in the first half. We were really dominating the midfield and imposing our will and our system of play on the Philly Union. And then, in the second half, it got a little, we started a little slow. Philly came out pretty hot out of the gates. I think the major switch up was Robbie Robinson going down with a hamstring injury right as the whistle blew to conclude the first half. So he was actually subbed off for Jay Chapman, who then, instead of playing that winger role, he kind of reverted more to a cam level role, but it was honestly kind of more of a 4-3-3 with him playing in midfield along with Matuidi and Gregore, whereas Pizarro then rotated over to the left wing, which is honestly his more natural position, and then Gonzalo up top and Lewis on the other side of him as well. This was it was interesting. I was a little worried at first just with the early sub, and then we got Federico coming on for Pizarro. So another one of those subs, I think, kind of just like last week where he came on for Lewis Morgan. And those players don't really equate as far as youth and energy goes. But I'll tell you what, Federico came on very, very composed, very stoic, a lot of pressure going on. And he seemed to be able to, kind of calm down everyone around him. And then the subs started happening earlier than the previous week. And I think this was really a reflection of Phil Neville learning from game 1 against LA to game 2 against Philly that, he got out coached by LA Galaxy, and he wanted to make sure that he got his subs on. And we can run through these subs in a little bit, but Than, what were your initial thoughts?
First half, I was really excited. I got to say, my play of the first half was Figal's Heisman-worthy stiff arm down the touchline as the ball was going out. From my angle, because it happened right in front of us, he actually grabbed the winger by the throat and kind of threw him down like Derrick Henry running through a defender. And then he pleaded his case to the official. It wasn't me. And I don't know if the official didn't have his glasses on or what was going on, but the official was like, "Oh, yeah, you're good, man. No worries."
Yeah, it wasn't you. You're right.
Yeah, and then he kind of did that 3 or 4 more times as the half went on. I'm actually the opposite of you guys, though. I was more comfortable in the second half. At the first half, I felt a little apprehensive, and maybe it was because I was seeing the game in whole rather than seeing it on screen. But I felt like players were having trouble shifting in the gear. They were missing some of their assignments. Like, we would get out on the break, but I mean, God forbid Gonzalo would run more than 5 feet before he threw his hands up in the air and waved them around like you just don't care, and then turn around and scream at somebody in the midfield. At halftime, I was thinking, okay, yep, we're going to have the possibility of making some good changes here. Pizarro did look tired. You could see he walked off the pitch as everybody else kind of jogged. I wasn't sure which way Phil was going to go with that. And, I will admit, in the second half, when I saw Federico come on, I actually hung my head. And I kind of looked at my son. I said, "Well, here comes another long day, buddy." And he just looked at me smiling because he had no clue what was going on with that. But
I'm just happy for my popcorn.
No, he got a $30 meal. Thank you, Philly Union. But honestly, I'm happy I was wrong about both players. Figal obviously became, an integral part in that second half. Mm-hmm. And obviously Federico, we wouldn't win without him. So, other than that, I'm going to keep putting his name out there. Sammy came on strong. Mm-hmm. He got subbed on, came on strong, and he dominated that side of the pitch, especially in the last 10 minutes or so when they kept lobbing everybody through. He made some crucial tackles I don't think got enough credit or praise from anybody in the Inter Miami organization.
Very fair, sir. Very fair. And I think kind of the biggest difference that I saw in the first half even was honestly the midfield play. Midfield play was outstanding throughout the entire match. And, to your point, when Pizarro was looking a little tired out there, we made the right substitution and moved on with it. But I thought that the Gregory or Gregore, however you want to pronounce his name, that to date is paying dividends in the middle of the field for us and truly filling a hole that we did not have last year. And as we kind of talk about filling the hole and, getting into more of the attack, defense, and midfield moving forward, let's go over kind of how the scoring unfolded. It was the Philadelphia Union who did open up scoring, taking a 1-0 lead in the 54th minute. Kasper Pijhelko. Sometimes you get a little tongue-tied there, but he played a cutting pass across the box that was found by Monteiro and fired a strike into the back of the net, which was their first goal of the match and their only goal of the match. But the scoring did happen in the second half, and we were not done. We did not even start at this point. In the 73rd minute, Inter Miami found the equalizing goal by Federico Higuaín, who stepped up to take a free kick just above the upper right corner of the box and whipped it to the delivery found by his brother, Gonzalo Higuaín, in the box, who headed the shot past the goalkeeper for the equalizer for the 1-1 tie. Not too long after that, Inter Miami made a final few substitutions in the 78th minute, bringing on Victor Ulloa and for Matuidi, as well as Ryan Shawcross for Leardom, and the substitution that marked the MLS debut for Mr. Shawcross. And at that point, gentlemen, it was victory for Inter Miami on a beautiful goal by Federico Higuaín. What was the feeling like in the stadium, Than, when that goal happened and the home crowd realized that this game was no longer in their favor? This game was no longer tied, but they were now losing the match.
So yeah, I actually couldn't believe it because I thought that it was going wide from my angle. And I looked over, and all of a sudden I see Max Ramos jumping up and down, screaming like an absolute banshee.
Saw him on
And
TV. Yes, yes.
the vice flags start coming down, and then you hear just this exasperated groan from the Union fans. And I'm throwing Riley up in the air, and we're the only ones that are cheering for Inter Miami in the section. And you could tell at that point, Union were done. They did not have the reserves in the tank to come back and take us on. And at that point forward, it felt like a home game for us. Vice City, the Siege were making their presence known. The chants were coming in hard and strong, and we didn't have to hear dupe anymore. That was fantastic.
No, it definitely was. And what if I'm going to be the only ones taking this stance, I guess I will be, but that first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of that second half were sloppy, and I could really see the momentum starting to change. And then once we went down with the first goal, and this was in the 54th minute by Montero, I was like, man, damn, that's going to be it. I think Quinn he tried to watch the game with me, and at the 40th minute, he was like, can we put a movie on? So I put a Disney movie on for him. Thanked him for spending 40 minutes with his old man. But when that happened, I was like, here we go again. It's going to be tough. And you could tell the energy was sucked out of the team for really, not that long, but it was. And so those first couple minutes after the goal, I was like, damn, it's going to be, a long night. And then that first goal from Gonzalo came, and I was like, all right, well, great. Well, we've got a chance to draw it out right now. And what really stood out to me, in obviously we're going to talk about the significance of both Higuaín brothers scoring, and that's the first time in the MLS where two brothers have scored in the same game, yet alone on the same team, but in the same game. But what really stood out is when they subbed on Shawcross for Leerdam, okay? Now, Leerdam plays as right back. Nika was playing as a center back. But they brought Shawcross in, who is a center back. So he took over Figal's duty, and Figal took over Leerdam's duty as a right back. And this allowed Figal to get very active. And I think both him and LGP had phenomenal games. But Figal started to get very active in the attack. He's the one who laid down that beautiful little fake shot and then hesitation move and another little kind of feint to get the cross off to Federico, who scores a beautiful header. I mean, two beautiful headers, and this one putting us up. And I was jumping up and down in my living room, fist pumping like a maniac, but trying to be quiet to not wake up a child sleeping upstairs. But this change right here to Nico getting more active in that right back and up the right side of the attack, I think was the game-changing, game-busting moment outside of Federico Higuaín coming in and being able to calm everybody and get everyone back on the same page to make this comeback.
It was truly beautiful, sir. I mean, that was it was a moment in Inter Miami history. And, Jay, I know that you have the stats pulled up, want to go over them briefly. What were the stats? And then question two is what stood out in your mind most after looking them over?
So as far as the statistics go, what stood out to me the most is that, coming off game one against LA Galaxy, we had 18 shots with 9 on target, something, very high. In this game, much, much less. We had 6 total shots with 3 being on target. So that means out of our 2 out of 3 shots on target. And the third shot that was on target that was not a goal was another beautiful header from Federico Higuaín that Blake was able to kind of shift his body weight kind of mid jump and get back to his far post to stop that from going in. So as far as on target efficiency, very good game. Fouls, anytime we have less fouls in the team, that's good. Anytime we can get less yellow cards, that's good. But we had 12 fouls, Philadelphia had 15. As far as yellow cards go, each team had one. Blaze got the yellow card for Inter Miami. It was in the 30th minute. 0 red cards, 1 offsides apiece. And if we recall back to the game with LA Galaxy, there were no offsides. offsides in that game. So now we're talking about only 1 offsides in 2 games. I really like what that says about our team and everyone being on the same page as far as timing attacks go. Corner kicks, we only had 1. Philadelphia had 9. So we did have to weather those corner kicks as they just kept going in and us trying to defend our lead. And then saves, not a lot of saves in this game. We're talking about 2 for Inter Miami with John McCarthy, 1 for Philadelphia Union in Blake, who is a phenomenal keeper, plays for the national team of Jamaica. Possession-wise, 53% to Philadelphia, 47% to Inter Miami. Given our dominance of the midfield for most of that game, very impressed. The possession's pretty close. It wasn't like we were, sub 40% or anything like that. But overall, I mean, really, for not having impressive stats as far as having significant numbers on shots or saves or whatever, we really made the few attempts we had count. It seemed to be a very efficient way to play ball. But to be fair, I think the only actual attempt we had in the first half was Robbie's shot that hit the crossbar, which would have been a phenomenal goal. And just real quick, breaking it down as far as substitutions. I know you did already go through this, but quick timeline: 30th minute, Blaise Matuidi gets a yellow card. 46th minute, so first minute of the second half, Chapman subbed on for Robinson, going down at the very end of the first half with a hamstring injury. He honestly probably could have played through it, but Neville pulled him out as a precaution. Let's not hurt him. We're going to need him a lot this season. 62nd minute, Federico Higuaín comes on for Rodolfo Pizarro. In the 69th minute, Sami Guediri comes on for Jovan Jones. In the 73rd minute, that's when Gonzalo scores. 78th minute, Ulloa comes on for Blaise Matuidi. In the 79th minute, Shawcross switches on for Leerdam. And then in the 83rd minute, Federico gets his game-winning goal. So we're talking 2 goals in a 10-minute span, 2 headers off 2 beautifully shaved heads that are accompanied by a nice beard on both brothers. And Alex, I know you've been saving this soundboard little music talking about their beautiful beards and their shiny bald heads. So go ahead and drop that if you want to. I can't tell if that's loud, but I like it.
That's that Higuaín fire right there, baby. You set me up.
That's that Argentinian fire. So we're talking about 2 brothers connecting. It's a first in MLS history. It's a first in Inter Miami history. Other connections outside of the city brotherly love hosting the first ever brother scoring in the same game. Again, yet alone on the same team. But also with Nico Figal's assist to Federico, this was an all Argentinian connection as far as assisting and scoring went. So we know we have like 8 of them. We got 8 Argentinians on the team, maybe more. But hey, very, 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 very happy with the efficiency and the will to not give up and come back, which we probably would not see that last season on Alonso's team.
If Dove Body Wash doesn't give Federico a sponsorship, I don't know what they're doing, because this is a prime opportunity. I mean, any type like Rogaine, Head and Shoulders, you name it, man. This might be it.
Yeah. We'll be the first ever Head and Shoulders. I think Dan just stroking his
before and after.
I don't want to make Than feel bad, okay?
Not Than.
Listen, I'm going to go
and he
for the
shaved
Gonzalo
his beard.
look.
Yeah,
look at that.
You went from lumberjack to Gonzalo pretty quick.
There you go. Look at it right there. The bald spot rocker. We're going with Gonzalo look. I wanted to bring up one point, though. The Union are going to be kicking themselves when they look at the highlights. If you watch that second goal, for whatever reason, the defender is still marking Gonzalo, who is on his butt sitting in front of the keeper, which then freed up Federico. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to take those little breaks left and right. And you hit the nail on the head. We would not have seen this team spirit, team chemistry with Alonso's team last year. And for us to make this push towards the end, I mean, that was a fantastic way. I can tell you, being at the DC United game last year where Pizarro scored the club's first ever goal, I thought we were going to be into a same situation where, oh no, we went down. We're not going to be able to come back. And I was pleasantly surprised. I'm hoping this continues going down the line for sure.
Yeah, and I like the quick switch from a 4-2-3-1 into more of your traditional 4-3-3 with Chapman in the midfield. I like anytime we can get Pizarro on that left side into his natural position. I like that, and I think that was a good, game-changing decision from Neville. And again, another week where he continues to boost the confidence level.
So real quick, fellas, we're going to break down each one of these levels, individually and focus on the defense first. I got to say, this is one of the best games LGP has played with an Inter Miami jersey on his back. It was also, I think, his first game that he had the captain's band on his shoulders.
I think it was his second. I think he first wore it when he scored the game to beat Orlando at the end of the season to get us into the.
So this man plays well when he gets that recognition.
Yes, he does.
I can tell Phil was like, you know what, man, like we got to let you have a little bit more leash to talk to these refs because you're going to get us in some more trouble. Yeah. But phenomenal game by LGP. It seemed like every time there was a set piece by the Philadelphia Union, he was in the middle disrupting everything. It felt like every corner kick that happened, LGP had his head on the ball, which really gave a lot of room and, exhausted relief to the back line and really resulting in a lot of relief for the goalkeeper, John McCarthy himself. And I mean, if our defense can play like this and kind of hold off a, attacking onslaught by, the opposing teams that kind of happened in the LA Galaxy match, our team's going to be pretty dang good, which I don't know if we can ask this of them every single week, but this is a good sign that we're fully capable of doing so.
It is, and I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to say this was not only LGP's, but also Figal's best 90 minutes they have strung together on this club. And what was most impressive about it all is for LGP to play at such a high level and not get one yellow card.
I was going to say.
is he can do it. He can play 100% clean. I mean, maybe not clean, maybe you get away with some stuff, but very impressed that, we're not going to be having to sit him out for the 6th game of the season due to yellow card accumulation. We will at least make it till week 7 now.
And Fan, you touched on this player, but Sammy Guderi, I got to ask you, man, talk to me a little bit about him in particular, because he's played in both matches thus far this season. And, we did use our 3rd overall draft pick in Dylan Nealis last year, and we did decide to let Dylan go. I don't think that there's a disconnect. I think there's an absolute correlation between Sammy getting more PT and Dylan leaving. What do you see?
As soon as he stepped on the field out in Philly, it was almost like high energy met that side of the field. And I was a little concerned, as much as he's my guy, and I've been pushing him to everybody I talked to about Inter Miami. It was an immediate connection, like Lego bricks snapping together. LGP, Figal, Gregore, they all just boom. And then when Shawcross came on, that added experience that Sammy doesn't have really helped him feel more confident to play his side of the pitch and not have to worry about someone sneaking in behind him. I could see the confidence growing more and more and more for him each game. And it's definitely a good thing to see, because we never know when he might become the full-time. If something happens down the road, we're going to need him to be at the ready.
Yes, indeed. Well, to be fair, we are pretty deep on that back line, which is good. But this, I mean, we're seeing growth from week 1 to week 2, right? Because for all intents and purposes, it's a brand new back line, right? We're kind of plugging these pieces together. The one thing that we do have consistent from this previous season to this season is that we still have Nico Figal and LGP. But where there were some slight communication issues just from lack of game time together, you could see an improvement. Now, is it ready to go completely? Like, no, I would not, bring this home to my mother, right? But, we're getting to where we need to get. And I think that we're going to see a progression throughout this season where it honestly might be closer to into June, July, where we actually see the full capacity of this team, because everyone's still getting familiar with each other, coming from brand new squad last year to almost half of your squad being new this year. There's going to be some of those, learning pains, growing pains, or whatever you want to refer to them. But I was really happy to see the progression from week 1 to 2.
And you talk about June and July. At that point, we should be seeing Kieran Gibbs coming in,
exactly,
which is going to be even more of support for that line. And while it will take him a little bit of time to catch up, everybody's going to be on that same page. So it should kind of exponentially boost his ability to catch up to the team and be a definite added influence.
Well, I know you love those Arsenal players.
I was quiet on purpose. I don't care.
At first, I was like, maybe he doesn't know. I was like, no, he definitely heard me.
No, and just real quick, I'm going to touch on this. I was really hoping Chelsea would get the band hammer for the whole Super League thing, even though United started it. You take
people were asking me. I was like, I'm not happy with that. This is happening to the sport, but I'm happy at least Chelsea was invited, because if this does happen, I don't want to be on the outside. I want to be with it.
But one last thing about that, it was like the big kids inviting the little kid along to the party. You finally got to graduate from the kids table and come up with the big boys. So
Tottenham and Arsenal have four titles.
This is the Inter Miami
four
podcast,
titles over the past decade. Chelsea has 8. Get off of it.
Calling it not Dan and Jay's bedtime stories here. This is the Inter Miami podcast, and we got to bring it back in here. Jay, it seems
Why are you yelling at me?
Let me take it
like Judge
down.
Judy's on.
Let me take it down here. But Jay, you saved face this week on John McCarthy here, bud. Didn't get much action in between the goalposts, but kind of talking about the June-July timeframe. We might have a new goalkeeper in there too. Nick Marsman sitting back, waiting to join us in the summertime, so we'll see how the team shapes up at that point. But again, it's an outstanding opportunity for John. It is John's opportunity to lose. So he's got a few months to go ahead and show us what he's got. But
come July, Neville's going to have a lot of problems trying to find out his back four and his goalkeeper. These are good problems to have. But they're still going to be problems.
Well, where are we going to put Mabika?
If they want to maybe sign Mabika, that'd be lovely. I don't know
happening. What's going on with that?
I don't know how he feels. We've been waiting on it. I thought when Nealis was gone that they were going to use that spot to sign Mabika. The indecisiveness on this is somewhat concerning. I would have to think this is more of a club decision than Mabika. I mean, you're coming right out of college. I don't think you have much ground to stand on to make like a contract stand. Like, no, I want the Supermax.
Just like those Kentucky boys.
Yeah, just like those one and done Kentucky boys, eh? No,
his agent must be Mino Raiola.
Yeah, exactly.
A sweet time signing.
Exactly. So who knows? Maybe we'll get him as well, because he's a statue of a man.
But there was one spot in this match that stood out to me most above all, and it was the outstanding midfield play. It was the reason that I thought we looked so impressive in the first half was the absolute clear advantage we have of having Gregore on our team is such a positive, guys. It doesn't even begin to describe. It is a hole that we had on our club the entire last year. We lacked the fluidity up the middle of the pitch. We always had to bounce it to the outside, give it to Lewis Morgan, who's going to cross it in the middle for us to miss a header. I got to say, I don't know the total goals that we had last year off the top of my head, but I think it was something like 26, 24, something like that. But we're right now.
Was it that high?
Well, it was, but we're at 4 goals right now in the season in 2 games. And that's a testament to our offensive threat and the pressure that we've been putting on the club.
And 2 for Gonzalo in 2 games.
You're right. So, I mean, that's doubled his goal total of last year. So let's look at this, level in particular, guys. And let me ask, what were you guys seeing out there on the pitch? Stan, out seeing there in person, and Jay looking on the TV like myself down in, Key West watching the game. But adding, Gregore to the mix, putting them with Matuidi and Pizarro, enabling them to play much more freely into really kind of their more natural positions, which has done the club wonders. I'm really looking forward to seeing what your guys' thoughts are on this.
Yeah, so you could tell with Gregore, however you want to pronounce it. Blaze had the strings cut from, what he had attached to him last year. He was able to roam. He was able to sneak around. He was able to let Pizarro jet off to the left, and then he snuck in around the right side, providing some relief for Lewis, so Lewis could get out and run with it. It was nice to see that we finally have confidence in that, the back center defensive mid spot. So our attacking mids don't feel like they have to stick behind in case there's a fast break and they need to get back. Jay, what do you think?
I agree. I really love, obviously I've been partial to Brazilians due to my time in Brazil, but I love that he can come in and really kind of take, it's not a 50-50 pivot. Gregore takes predominantly I'm going to hold down the defensive midfield, and I'm going to let Blaze kind of be a horse out there on an open range. But once once Robbie went down and they subbed on Chapman and then brought him into more of the true kind of 4-3-3 midfield with Pizarro on the wing, you almost saw like, I don't even know if a triple pivot is a thing, but Gregore would hold it down, Matuidi would do his thing, and then Chapman was actually going into a much more kind of free roam role for the squad. So I was just really impressed from start to finish. Maybe a slight lull from minute 46 to maybe 55 or 60, right? But that's expected. But just really impressed with I know we say this term a lot, it honestly is one of my favorite, but the fluidity, man. We weren't struggling to go from the back line to the attack. We were able to play our game in there better than what Philly could do. And I honestly think if you're going to, talk, outside of an individual performance from Federico Higuaín or maybe a defensive rotation of Nico Figal, if you want to talk about what probably could be credited with winning this game, it would be the midfield dominance that we had on the Supporter Shield winners.
Yeah, and to your point, Jay, the lull came as Pizarro got tired. Yeah. In that 10-minute span, you said Pizarro was gassed, and then they subbed him out immediately, and that was beautiful tactful move, whatever you want to say. I'm tired. Give me a break.
No, I get it.
Beautiful,
but you would want
Federico to come on.
I just got to think you'd want your DPs to be able to play up to 90 minutes. So that's a kind of concern that he has to come off. But we did finally get the answer for the one black cleat, one white cleat. It's for his charity initiative to combat racism. So we did learn that. And he was, again, all over the place, high energy. So we'll see what happens. I don't know exactly how injured Robbie is. We're recording this, without really any news coming out, but I think that was also a precaution. But I guess my main question in the midfield would be, where does Federico fit in? Because he almost was able to tie up the game against LA Galaxy. He was just wide to the left side. But I'm kind of thinking, what do we do here, right? Is this someone we should probably let start? He seems to have a good effect on the game, so why not have him maybe start? But who do you take out? That's the question.
Wait, are you talking about?
Yes.
Federico
sexy
Higuaín
Saxman himself. Yes.
Actually, dude, I think he's actually in the perfect position for what he brings to the table. I don't know if this guy can play a full 90 minutes right now. I think that him being a super sub for our team and kind of that microwave, your 6-man off the bench, if you want to go ahead and use a basketball analogy.
Don't take Breck's title away from him.
Well, Breck, we got to see out there on the pitch too, to be honest with you.
Don't stop Breck.
But I think Federico's role right now is actually exactly what it should be. I don't think he should be playing the whole game, at least from the start. I think that he needs to offer that bit of aggressiveness and offensive threat that kind of, I guess, ties everyone together when we need it. We may not need Federico every single game, and we're going to have to save those legs for when we do need him. So honestly, I'm a little bit more on the other side of the table on that.
He could. What if we subbed on Robbie in the 60th minute and had his young...
Well, listen, the way Robbie's playing, I think he's got to see as much of the field as he possibly can.
Yeah. But if his injury is significant, then do you just move Pizarro over to the left for the national game and then let Federico start? I think at some point we're going to see some Federico starting action. I think whether someone's recovering from an injury, someone's maybe not fit or tired, I'd be hard pressed. He's coming on in 2 games now and been a more of a reassuring big brother figure to get everyone back on the same page, tranquilo, focused, and get everyone moving again. Right at the time where they were in their lull. So I'm not against it. I want to see exactly what it would look like, but I'm certainly not against it.
Well, seemed like a player that we just kind of picked up last year, right? He was a player coach.
He was like, dude, I want to play with my brother.
Toronto, right? Like, wasn't that where he was?
It was a week out. No, not Toronto, DC United.
DC, yes, DC
but
United.
A week after Gonzalo signed, he put in a transfer request to come over. So yeah,
it's unbelievable seeing a guy who's paying didividends, out when it's kind of just added, off the whim.
That's a good point. That is a very, very, very good point. What also stuck out to me? Sorry, go ahead then.
No, it's cool. What I was going to say, and you guys could probably stake me to the post for this one, is maybe we sit Pizarro for the first half and see how Federico Federico pushes Gonzalo, because one thing I noticed from the stands, Gonzalo moves when Federico's on the pitch.
Yeah.
Gonzalo,
brother,
I was,
better.
and Jay, I was texting you, I was
point.
screaming, I was irate. Gonzalo was walking all over the place, and then Federico came on and it was like, oh, my brother's out here. Bang, bang, bang. Let's move.
We'll hold him to a higher standard.
I think it might actually pay dividends. And I have nothing against Pizarro. I love Pizarro, but until he gets up to full match fitness, let's start with Federico, get Gonzalo moving, and then have Pizarro slide in the second half when the defense is tired and he can bring in his flair and his speed.
Yeah. I mean, Pizarro can control with very crisp, clean movement, great decision making, but Higuaín, Federico has just an experience standpoint where he can play that player coach role as mid game as we're playing. One thing that really stood out to me. Do you have something right now? Or you just
you see me smiling? No, I was actually going to quote Than in our message group. It was a little bit more than Than a quote. I think, I'm about to go out there and throat slam Gonzalo.
And Than is an absolute unit. He possesses the arms and the strength to do that.
I was in a bar in Key West. I almost pissed myself.
I retyped that 2 or 3 times because it was a lot more graphic.
Yeah, I'm just really aggressive.
I was a little irate, but we can talk more about that when we talk about the attacking group.
Yeah. But one thing that has been kind of sticking out like a little wound here is Lewis Morgan. Much better game, but still yet to make his impact. What do you think's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, now we're moving into the attack, and hey, it's hard to rip on the attack with 2 goals, but hey, we got to talk about it a little bit and break it down. And I guess first and foremost, before we get into Lewis Morgan, Jay, let's talk about Mr. Robbie Robinson. I'm talking about the first overall draft pick of the 2020 Super Draft. Like, this guy's got to be thinking, Daryl who? Like, at this point, he's got to be a little pissed off, of all the success that Daryl Dike has been having throughout his entire career. And it's just getting going, but so's Robbie's. And, I got to say, he had one of the best misses we may see all year with that beautiful right hooker that missed off. Well, not a right hook. Oh, I don't know about that. Definitely
right-footed
shot after this one. But no, I mean, seeing the progress that he's made under Phil Neville from year 1 to year 2 has been absolutely recognizable. And we've touched on it a few times in this podcast, but, let's hope that this injury is not serious. Haven't seen, any real medical update come out of camp yet. I believe it was a hamstring, if I'm not mistaken, which hamstrings are freaking annoying. If you've played a sport, you know this. If you've walked on 2 legs, you know this. So, we will see how that injury pans out. But I think Robbie, first and foremost, has been probably the biggest bright spot that I was not expecting at the beginning of the year. I was expecting for, Gregore and Higuaín and Pizarro to play well, but Robbie, I wasn't too sure about, fellas.
I mean, certainly an improvement. This is the best miss he's going to have all season because the rest are going to certainly go in that net there. But yeah, I mean, truly impressive. He's up there. I think Federico probably still is the light for me as far as his impact in the first 2 games. But this is something we wanted to see. We spent a high draft pick on you. Obviously, I think everyone's kind of aware of the shadow that DK has casted over that entire draft class. But it's good to see him getting active and effective. He's got quick feet, man. He's a nice little kind of shake and bake player. As he continues to settle in, I think we're going to start to see goals drop, and he already got one under his belt in the home opener. But this is something that we're going to have to continuously see. We'll keep an eye on the injury and see where we stand.
So moving away from Robbie, focusing back on the man, the myth, the legend, Lewis Morgan, our 2020 Inter Miami MVP. Why is he off to a little bit of a slower start out of the gates this year? Than, what do you think?
Well, from what I saw, watching the first game and live at the second game, you can tell that the opponents are, sucking on to him more and not letting him get the space that he had last year. He still tries to motor through, but in terms of the Philadelphia Union, they knew what he was trying to do, and they let the defender who was marking him back off 4, 5, 6 steps. So whenever the through ball would go through for Lewis, whether in the air or on the ground, that defender automatically had the advantage on him, no matter how fast Lewis ran. Some of the pressure was taken off of him while Robbie was doing his thing on the other side of the pitch, but Lewis could never get into gear to make that difference. He would get down the wing and he would cross it, or he would get down the wing and it would hit off a defender, or he'd get the ball stripped from him. And I think right now he's, I'm not speaking for him, but I feel like he's frustrated because he's not able to find the same creative space. He wants to be able to help the team out and get the ball into Pizarro, both Higuaíns, to Robbie, to whoever. But right now, the opponents are on to what he did to make him so successful last year. They're not going to allow him to do it. I would personally like to see Lewis maybe bounce off and be that roaming player that we had talked about previously with some of the other players. I think if he was able to roam a little bit more, which he did a tiny bit when Chapman came on and Federico came on, and there was a little bit of mixture there. But I think he'd benefit more to have a little bit of a roaming presence. Jay, what do you think?
I agree with you. He's a victim of his own success, right? They're going to key in on that. Now, obviously, he was our MVP. To be fair, he had a relatively slow start. I don't know if slow start's fair, but I don't think it was until that first Atlanta game where he kind of broke through. That's when I turned to Alex and I was like, once he gets his first goal, it's just going to be a flood of goals and skillful play. And that happened. So maybe a little bit of slow start, maybe a little bit of match fitness, or maybe they're just keying in on that he is an absolutely wonderful player and, one of our top playmakers, but something to keep our eyes on, and we'll see how it progresses throughout the season.
Well, another thing that I've been keeping my eyes on this year, guys, is Gonzalo Higuaín's energy level. And I got to say, listen, the guy complains. He's going to whine. He's going to throw his hands in the air every single play that he doesn't get the ball or doesn't go his way. But that being said, I've seen him much, much more involved in the offense. And I think, Fan, you brought up a fantastic point earlier, and I'm going to keep my eye on it. And really kind of maybe it's that brother, Federico Gonzalo combo where Federico's like, hey, dude, like, let's jam. Let's win some games together. Like, they have that chemistry that they built throughout their entire lives. I mean, shoot, they are part of the same damn sperm. So, I mean, you might as well.
Well, I don't know if you understand how it
I
works.
mean, genetics. It's genetics. It's all coming from the same,
By definition, they'd have to be two separate.
I have questions.
Yeah,
I got
Is this what they teach at UM? Is this really what they teach at the private school of South Florida? Is twins coming from? Okay, whatever. They're not twins even. They're just brothers. Oh, gosh. I'm going to have to give you a biology lesson here, buddy.
You say one thing wrong and you just get the iron thrown at you over here. But you know what? I
forgot what I was going to say. Okay, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
He was playing the way he should play. He was playing with his back against the goal. He was playing there posting up, waiting for service in, whether it be ground balls, over the head balls, crosses. He's playing in his goal poaching role. Last year, he had to play much more of a creational type role. Now we've kind of got it figured out that we need to feed the ball to him. That's why you see him throw his hands up when Robbie doesn't pass him the ball because he wants to go for goal. In Higuaín and Gonzalo's eyes and Pepita's eyes, he's wide open. In Robinson's eyes, there's three defenders in between you guys. So I like to see that out of him, that fire. But he's playing well because he's playing how he should be. This is the system that Gonzalo scored the 30 some odd goals for was it Napoli in Serie A, right? I mean, this is when he sets the record, right? This is how he should play. We can't have him outside the box trying to open up chances for everyone else. So it's good to see us finally utilizing Gonzalo Higuaín as Gonzalo Higuaín should be utilized.
But to that point, that he needs to get in the box more often. There's plenty of times where Pizarro was trying to get the attack moving, and because Gonzalo was in the slow lane going 35 and a 70, the play got held up. And then, as I said, once Federico came on, he was like, "Oh, green light, let's go." Yeah. So we got to make sure. I hate to say it like this, but you almost have to make sure Gonzalo's happy to get the best out of Gonzalo, and if that means Federico's on the pitch again, I'm going to say more power to him.
Hey, I'm right there with you. How do we unlock our great talents,
Yeah, well, if you can change that body language around, we might have a real winner on our hands, but we got to let some time play, and hopefully a little bit more team chemistry helps the cause. But, those were the different layers that we had, but there was a fourth level to this whole thing, and that's actually coaching, gentlemen. We got Mr. Phil Neville at the helm, and I got to say, it is a light year of difference What do you guys think?
Could not agree more. Subs were working out great this week. I mean, bravo. Very, very happy to see us make the adjustments earlier versus waiting until, the 80th minute or later to sub in some bodies, which is all we saw from Diego Alonso. We're seeing subs. I mean, obviously the Robbie, going down with the hammy injury, that's going to cause for the, immediate sub of the second half. But, it did not take long after 62nd minute. We had the Federico coming on for Pizarro, 69th minute, 73rd minute. I mean, that's really given plenty of time to have your changes make an impact. And then 78th minute, 79th minute, and then one more sub in the 83rd minute. So I think that's proper game management. I think that's understanding your team's not full match fitness and that you need to make the right decisions by identifying who can last the full game, who can come off, and where we can get our impacts from.
Beyond all the tactics to this whole thing, just got to say, love the fight. Love the fight. We do not win this game last year. No chance. What probably happens is we probably tie 1-1 and we give up a goal in 60 seconds and lose the game. That's probably what happens in reality. So just got to say, true testament to Phil Neville and the entire coaching staff. It's not just Phil, it's all the different pieces that David Beckham has invested and brought in this offseason to really put his stamp on this club. And it's been impressive. Dan, what do you think about Phil's job so far in the 2021 season?
As we were leaving, we were able to walk down along the touchline, and you could see almost the weight lift itself off of the remaining coaches on the sideline shoulders. They were, happy. They were giddy. It almost looked like they were players dressed in street clothes. They were excited for the win. They were fist pumping and jumping up and down. And, it's good to see Phil making the changes when he needs to make them, but it's also good to see that he's propping his other coaches up, say, hey, no, we're good. We'll be okay. We're good to go.
Indeed. Could not agree more. Very, very happy to see it all, honestly. Main takeaways from here. I mean, we knocked a lot of our key takeaways out already, but man of the match, none other than the sexiest bald man with a beard, Mr. Federico Higuaín.
There it is. Getting this man a goddamn sponsorship. But besides the man of the match, Federico, what were some other takeaways? I mean, what do you guys got? I mean, I got to say, first and foremost for me, it was our midfield. If we can play like that, we are going to be tough to beat any match we play in. It felt phenomenal just seeing those guys play the way they did. What about you?
I'm going to go ahead and say let Nico Figal play in the attack a little bit more. I kind of like him as a right back, running up that right side, creating some mischief.
I got to go, and I'm going to have to lay on my sword on this one, but John McCarthy, he looked miles and way better. I know Jay's happy to hear me say that because I have not been his most staunch supporter.
Yes.
But, I even texted the group. I said, wow, John's looking pretty good in pregame. Like, he was bouncing all over the place. He was getting in front of the ball.
You said they were drilling him.
Well, yeah, you could tell that as the play was developing, John was reading it. And that's what I think he lacked in the first game against the Galaxy. So, John would be my pick for sure.
I didn't really see any mental mistakes in this one also. I just want to throw that in there. Last game, obviously, he kind of petted that ball away or dove the wrong way for one getting nutmegged. I'm not here to list them all off, but that was such a thing that played us last season. And I feel like this was one of the few games we've seen where I honestly don't think any really flagrant mental mistakes were made. I think for the most part, we held it together.
Yep. Well, fellas, as we wrap up the conversation about the Philly Union, actually, this is a little fun fact. Do you guys know who owns 5% stake in the Philadelphia Union? I'll give you a hint. Fan, you already know it. Hit me.
Kevin Durant.
Attaboy. You got it, bud. That is Kevin Durant of...
He is one of the founders of the amazing 80s rock band Duran Duran, right?
Yeah, no, that's the same guy. That's the same guy.
Okay, figured.
Also known as there's some crazy stat of how many times Kevin Durant tweets. If we tweet him right now, he might respond to us by the end.
He might get all butt hurt because apparently he's very easy to trigger.
Probably an Orlando City fan.
Probably an Orlando City fan.
It can't be any worse than when I tweeted Ocho Cinco about playing us in FIFA. So, yeah.
He never did respond, did he?
No, he never did, and I'm still looking for you, Ocho.
He don't want that smoke.
Ocho Cinco, more like Ocho Stinko.
Oh man, we are losing it. We're gonna have to keep it moving. We beat this dead horse enough. Let's look ahead to the upcoming game we are talking about our ugly little stepbrother, our ugly little expansion team who happened to do much better than us. But we are talking about our game coming up on Sunday against Nashville SC. This is going to be a good redemption game. They knocked us out of the play-in rounds. What do you expect? They're a defensive powerhouse. They're now starting to get their attack figured out. So this is going to be a very, very interesting game to watch. I got some players on their team too, not to mention Dylan Nealis.
They do. They played last week, same day I believe we did. They did tie Montreal CF, which Montreal's actually doing pretty damn good this year. Resulted in a 2-2 tie. The tie was off of a comeback where they were down 2-0 at one point during this game. So Nashville does have 2 points this year. That comes from 2 ties, Cincinnati and Montreal. And they is currently sitting in the 7th seed in the East. That's right, behind us this year. As we know, this is our expansion club rival, if we want to go ahead and say this. They kicked our ass last year. Nashville SC finished 7th in the East in the Eastern Conference last year, and they went ahead to the semifinals where they lost against the Columbus Crew, which obviously did go ahead to win the cup. So
they beat us 3-0 and caused us to shut our TVs off.
Yes,
which is the only game that that's happened so far.
I was gonna say that was the game that I think I left.
Yeah, exactly. What time is this game starting?
This game is on May 2nd at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which May 2nd is Saturday or Sunday, Jay?
That is Sunday.
All right. Well, Sunday, you know what that means. It's for football. But last year we played Nashville 3 times. We had 1 draw and 2 losses, and obviously for you math whizzes out there, that's 0 wins. Players to go ahead and watch are Randall Leal, as well as Mukhtar and Dax McCarthy. They were people who played on the club last year, as well as Mr. Walker Zimmerman, who was the 2020 Defensive Player of the Year and was a member of the MLS Best 11. Gentlemen, we got our hands full, but I think a very winnable game.
I don't know, buddy. They're a tough squad. They came back two down to win last week, which was
to tie.
Or to tie, rather. Yeah, sorry, to tie. But Hani Mukhtar comes back with a really well composed goal in the box, just to really pass it. Past the keeper. So look, they're a defensive team. They're willing to sit up there and say we're better on defense than you are. Now they're starting to string together their attack. So this will be a pretty great battle. We were not nearly all on the same page like we are, at least seeming to be this season. So I do think we can go out here and get a win, but this is going to be a game you got to grind it out. Even if you go up, you cannot have any lapses. You have to stay 100% mentally ready because they will give you everything they've got. They're playing at home at Nashville. They're playing in the NFL stadium right now as they build their stadium. So I think their 30% capacity is much greater than any other stadium. So there's going to be fans there. They love their guitars. They're going to be bringing the atmosphere for sure. This is going to be some very, very good game to watch, honestly. It's going to be, I think, high-stress game for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one of those games that we can't go behind early, in my opinion. The defense is going to have to, really make sure that we are playing as a cohesive unit, like we already touched on, and make sure we hold, Mukhtar scored a goal, Cadiz scored a goal. So we're going to have to make sure we hold those guys in check and feed the ball through the middle, get out to the wings, and get a couple more headers.
Totally agree, man. So as we look at this game, I got to ask, what are predictions? Give me predictions. What's the final score of this match? Than, you first.
I hate to run with the running trend. I'm going to go 2-2 draw. I think we have enough in the tank to get the draw. Match fitness is going to come into question yet again. I just don't think we have enough to get over the line against such a staunch defense at this point.
Jay, what do you think?
2-1 win to enter Miami, and I think it's going to involve probably a somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes of the end of the second half where we're just all out defense trying to prevent them. I think they're gonna make a valiant effort to end there, but I think we can go in and get the win. FC Cincinnati went 2 up on them. They came back and were able to score 2 to draw on them. So I think we can go up. We gotta hold them at bay and keep them down.
Very fair. And actually, I got good news to report to La Familia. I am actually 1-0 in my bets this year for Inter Miami. I took the over 2.5 total goals against Philadelphia Union. Stay tuned. Just ask me what my picks are. Probably don't pick them, but you can go ahead and ask. It'll make me feel good. It's cool. Fellas, I'm going to go with a 1-1 tie on this one. I'm normally a big-time Inter Miami W type of guy, but I got to say this is going to be a grind-them-out type of game. I do hope that we are able to jump on them quick and play a little bit of defensive ball because this club does not really known for their scoring. So we're going to go ahead and see. And Jay, you want to go ahead and give us one more thing?
Well, no, they haven't been known for the scoring, but they seem to be putting it together this season. I mean, they've got 4 goals same as us. So they are scoring. What I do want to point out, though, is the standings as far as the Eastern Conference goes. Miami is sitting in 5th on the table, but technically tied for 4th. We've got Montreal, Atlanta, and New England all tied for 1st. Then we got New York City, Inter Miami, and DC United tied, goal differential separating the rest. Anyway, so we're on the top 7, which is where we need to be. Nashville is on that 7th spot, just above where they need to be for the playoffs. Now, also wanting to a little bit of extra news that came out today, but of course ESPN drops their MLS Power Rankings every week, and this week our previous ranking was 25, and we bumped all the way up to 12th overall, best team in the MLS per ESPN's Power Ranking. So kudos to the lads. Keep it up. Let's keep climbing that. I would love to see us in the top 5 by the end of the season. Okay, that is so loud.
Well, with that, that's all we got. We don't have anything
no
else
news.
to talk about.
There's no
news. There's no rumors trading around the old rumor mill that Jay likes to go ahead and talk about sometimes. So, with that, I think our time is coming to a close.
It most certainly is, but thank you so much for this episode. Yeah, I'm sure there will be more news to come out in the week coming up. But if you don't already, please do check us out. Follow us on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. It's at Inter Miami Podcast. We are on Twitter. It's at InterMIA Podcast. Check out Pink Smoke when it drops by none other than Mr. Than Harrington. Of course, Than, always a pleasure having you on this show. Our road dog who held it down, took some pictures, telling us how good of a time he had up there at Philadelphia, buddy. But thank you so much for coming on as always.
I appreciate you both. Thanks for having me, and hopefully I can get out to a few more away games if they ever release some more tickets. So we'll try to be out there in the stands.
We'll find a way to take care of you, I promise. But as we end every episode, vamos, Miami.
Vamos, Miami.
Vamos, Miami.